Good evening. My name is Prophet C. Brazil. Welcome to another day of Bible prophecy. I've been out for a week, going through a little sick spell, but hope everything will go all right. Continuing from the invasion of Afghanistan and how it fit in today in Bible prophecy. Excuse me, you might have a little skip in this. Once I get started, I find out I have got something, have not hooked up everything to this recording. And other words, same thing about this camera. If you don't have enough light, you don't get everything right. But let me get started since I've been off for a few days. During my last recording was the invasion of Afghanistan with a large surge of troops. And what I want to do, I'm not going to start different, but I'm going to continue with Bible prophecy. But what I want to tell you to is Revelation chapter 12. I want to start there, and because this is where we are in Bible prophecy. Excuse me. And behind me, in the chart behind me, you see the revelation of the space shell spoken of in Revelation chapter 12. Let me read this for you, if I may, since I've gotten started on this part. Go to Revelation chapter 12, verse 1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman's clothes with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. Now, let's stop right here. The woman would be the land where God gave to Abraham. Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, Syria, the land of Persia, Egypt, Ethiopia, Libya, Saudi Arabia, and all the nations there in the region, which it's just like tributaries have been divided into tributaries, but when you connect them all together, it's one land called the land of Abraham. It's what was the vineyard that God gave to his son, Jesus Christ. He paid it with the ransom of his blood. Therefore, Israel, none of the nations over there have the dominion over there, but they are just keepers of the land until the return of Jesus is completed. And they just oversee it. Now, it said, appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun. That means the power of Jesus, the Son of God, which I saw in 1999 when I saw, 1995 when I saw God sitting in the center of the sun. That means the strength shines in this Jesus is the Son of God, which I saw Jesus descending down from heaven from his Father, who was sitting on the throne in the center of the sun. I saw this here, and a vision that he gave me, and I've spoken so many times. Now, that's where this here prophecy coming from. It's also spoken of in Isaiah chapter 6 and Ezekiel chapter 1 and 2, Revelation chapter 4. Now, it said, and the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars. The 12 stars is the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, which is the sons of Israel, who was Jacob. I don't want to go through that too far, but if you're familiar with the Bible, you understand it. Now, And she, being with child, cried, traveling in birth and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head. Now, it talks about an invasion in this land in years, many years after, which is of today, that the nations, United Nations, who was 7 of them, according to the number of heads, who had united themselves together and went into the land of Abraham, which was the throne of God, Jesus Christ, to seize and to conquer that land. These 7 united nations resembled by the 7 heads, and the red dragon, which had nuclear capabilities, who went in with weapons of mass destruction having nuclear capabilities, symbolized by the dragon, which is also consistent with the United States and is supporting United Nations, a total of 7 of them. Now, it says, and his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them down through the ground. His tail is the supporting role, which is the military fighting forces of these nuclearized nations. I put it like that. Their tails is the military fighting force, tore down a third of them, killed a third of these here people, or consumed them, demarketized them of somewhat. In other words, he took and he cast them down by dividing them in somewhat. And I say he demarketized a third of them. Now, he stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to deliver her child as soon as it was born. She brought forth a man child, which was Jesus Christ, who was to rule all nations in the earth here with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she had a place prepared of God, that they feed her there 1,260 days. And there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angel fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought, and his angels, and prevailed not, neither was their place found anymore in heaven. Now, this tells us there was an invasion in the Holy Land, in Afghanistan, Iraq, in these places here, by these United Nations, and they fought in this nation, but they were defeated out after they had after an occupation of this land. But at the end, they was kicked out. Now, let's hold it right there. If you go back to the prophecy of Daniel, which I also recorded on YouTube, they went into the kingdom of God, which in the invasion of in the prophecy of Daniel. I believe you go to chapter 4 and you will find that the branches, there was a tree that grew and covered all the earth, and that every nation was fed from this tree. And the reason this tree became a magnet for these United Nations to invade this land. And once they went into this land, God declared war on them. Jesus declared war on these people. And by them going in through a fabrication of lies, saying they went in for one thing, God cut the oil off on this land. And they became angry at God. Read there in Daniel chapter 4. It tells you The branches was cut off, the leaves